Good afternoon, my name is Peter Ginger and we are Myers Davison Ginger Independent Financial Planners. We're delighted to be here this afternoon sharing this presentation with Metro Bank and Haynes Watts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming out here to Metro Bank in Aylesbury. Tonight is about equity release, so really glad to see such a full room. Really hope you get a great insight from Peter when he does his speech. So that's all I'm going to say for the moment. I'm going to introduce Peter now. So thank you very much and let's have a good night.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Ginger, for those who don't know me. I'm with Myers Davison Ginger. We're wealth managers. Can I just say how my pleasure it is working in association now with Metro Bank and Haynes Watts. Okay, so these are the areas I want to cover tonight. What is equity release? Why all the fuss about equity release? Is a burgeoning market, and I'll demonstrate that in a moment. What is the process? How do we go about organising an equity release? And it's the case studies. Now, it's the case studies I want to work with you on tonight. And it's those case studies that we're going to use the videos to demonstrate and post up onto our website so people can go in and have a look at that. Okay, so what is equity release? Well, on your seats, you've got a brochure. And what we're trying to do is make as succinct a statement on the front of it as you can. Now, in today's society, there's a lot of people who are property rich and yet they're income and cash poor. And what equity release does, enables people to release the money from their properties without the need to sell them and fund their lifestyles. This often happens, particularly where people are at retirement and they need the increased income. Effectively, it's having your cake and eat it. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, well, that's not the horror story I've heard. And I've got to say, when I was speaking to a colleague earlier on this afternoon about coming over and talking to you about equity release, oh, Pete, for goodness sake, don't mention equity release. Use some other nebulous financial comment like it's a remedy for all their ails. Because equity release, you'll alienate your audience. Well, I don't agree with that because I think people now are fairly familiar with equity release. The Equity Release Council was introduced, and the Equity Release Council came in to regulate this part of the industry. So they came in with a clear code of conduct. And then a little later, at that point it was the Financial Services Authority, it's now the Financial Conduct Authority, got involved. So what is the Equity Release Council's code of conduct? Okay, so here it is. You will never owe more than what your property is worth. So that means it's this negative equity guarantee. There will never be a debt or a liability in your estate. And I'll come on to that in a moment when we look at some of the case studies. You never lose your home. You'll have security of tenure. You can downsize into other properties. It'd have to be at their approval, but you can move down. And you need to speak to a solicitor to make sure they understand what's going on. Okay, so what the solicitor's charged with doing under this arrangement is making sure the client understands the full impact of equity release. In a lot of cases, equity release is life-changing, and I'll probably repeat that again as we go through this. One of the Equity Release Council's requirements is to have wills up to date and powers of attorney in place. Helen, can you come and join me up the front here? Helen and I are married. She goes to the older man. And we've arranged an equity release, and we've got a reserve that we're drawing down, and we're funding our lifestyle, and we're having a great time, aren't we? You know, on cruises, having a fantastic time. However, I lose capacity. That's a polite way of saying I can no longer control my financial affairs. I can't now give a valid authority to draw down more money so that Helen can enjoy the lifestyle. And in some cases, that can cause financial difficulties. At the very worst, we're going to have to reduce the number of cruises we take a year. Now, somebody in the audience once said to me, he's not here tonight, but somebody said to me, there's only 15% of the adult population in this country who've got powers of attorney. So having powers of attorney is absolutely essential. And if we're going to run this exercise, we need to make sure they're in place. Thank you. Okay, so how big is the equity release market that it needs all of this control? Well, the answer is, it is pretty big. So you can see in 2016, last year, it was over 2 billion. All the estimates are that in 2017, this year, the market will considerably exceed £3 billion. The starting point for any good client advice is knowing the client, having a dialogue with the client, understanding the client's concerns and the facts. So this is a fact find, but it's also the hard facts. So it's about the situation with the property, the client's income, expenditure. It's also the soft facts, how the client feels. What is the client trying to achieve by equity release? And now from my perspective, the soft facts are far more important than the hard facts. Equity release can be used in a variety of circumstances, and we have produced these case studies to illustrate this. Click on the case study for more details. Please call me or Nicola to discuss your own personal circumstances. So let me conclude this introduction by summarising the key points. Equity release is a rapidly growing market. It might not suit your situation, so please call to discuss and arrange a free consultation. We are completely independent, so you are assured of access to all the market products. You should have your will and powers of attorney in place, and we can help you. Please call. All types of residential property considered, including let properties. Minimum age is 55. Details of your health is also important. To discuss your case or to arrange a meeting or request a brochure, call me or Nicola. Thank you for your interest, and I leave you with our standard statement.